And we're delighted to welcome to the virtual concert stage none other than Jana Skarecky. Jana, welcome. It's good to have you here today.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Now, Jana, your piece, which you'll tell us about in a moment, was performed at the gala on July 1st by the Lanner String Quartet. Now, you weren't able to attend, but I understand you just got a video of the piece. So tell us a little bit about the piece, the name of the piece, and how you might characterize it.
Well, the piece is called Australian Images, and it's a string quartet that I wrote in memory of my former teacher and later friend, Peter Sculthorpe, an
Oh, Peter
Australian
Sculthorpe,
composer.
yes. Yeah.
Yes, so I studied with him in Sydney at the University of Sydney, where I did my master's degree in 1986 to 87. And it was a wonderful experience to work with him. And he is an amazing composer, as well as he was a wonderful person. He passed away in 2014. So the piece is four movements, and each movement is my response, my personal response to a special area in Australia. So it's a land of many contrasts and wonderful land formations. And I lived there for a year when I was studying there, and then I visited again later. The country speaks to me very deeply. So the first movement is called Katachurta, and that is a group of 36 dome-shaped mountains in the center of Australia, the desert red center of Australia. And of course, they have sacred meaning to the Aboriginal people. And other people are allowed to enter part of that area. So I hiked there with my husband. And that's the first movement. second one is Uluru, which is the great giant monolith in the center of the desert there. Again, it has sacred meaning for the Aboriginal people. The third one is called Ubir, and it's a rock formation in Kakadu National Park in the Northern Territory. And the last one is Karimura Waterfall, also known as Florence Falls, which is a waterfall in Litchfield Park near Darwin. And so each of the movements has its own energy and its own special character.
I see. It must have been thrilling to know that a piece was being played at Carnegie Hall. It's a rather prestigious venue.
It was wonderful to be aware of that, yes.
And was this your first piece played at Carnegie?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Wow, very exciting. And when you got the video, what were your impressions of the performance?
It was wonderful. They did a really wonderful job, and it was just full of energy, and I felt very good about it.
Yeah. Now tell us a little bit about Peter Sculthorpe, because earlier in my career when I was on the radio in Boston, I played quite a bit of his music, but that was a long time ago. He's a wonderful composer, and you must have been very privileged to work with him.
I was thrilled to be able to work with him. I had come across his music when I was studying in Canada for my undergraduate degree, and his music really resonated with me. It just had a lot of power, and it had a lot of what one might call modern elements, but also something that really grabs you. My music has always tended to be on the more conservative side of new music. I like to have a feeling of tonality in some way. And his music just had a really wonderful balance of that, and it was very powerful. So I wrote to him when I was an undergraduate, and we corresponded for a while, and he was very encouraging. And then I decided to go and study with him. But when one goes to study with somebody, half a world away, it's always a bit of a gamble. You don't know what it's going to be like. And it turned out to be really wonderful. So I was very happy about that. A lot of his music is for orchestra. So one can find, pieces like Earth Cry or Kakadu online, and they're just very powerful pieces.
Yeah. Now, I noticed that there was a 60th birthday party for you a couple of years ago, and it was in Toronto. I noticed this from your biography. And it not only was a concert of your music, but it was also an exhibition of your art. Tell us a little bit about your artwork.
Well, I paint, and I paint mostly with acrylics. I also do photography, but the painting has often been done in parallel with the music. So I'm often composing something and painting something, and the two kind of interact with each other. And I find it quite interesting and exciting how the one can influence the other.
Yeah. When you're writing music, do you think in colors? Are you thinking about a painting as you're thinking about the piece?
Sometimes I do. I don't have the synesthesia
Right.
thing that Scriabin, for example, had. But I think in flowing gestures and that sort of thing. So when people see my paintings, they often remark on the fact that they can experience musical elements in them. Yeah.
Right. Now, I noticed from your resume that I'm reading that you wrote a piece called "The Land Sings," and it's a very unusual instrumentation because it's for two bass clarinets, percussion, and organ.
Organ, yes.
That's a very unusual, but it's a fascinating. I can hear it in my head because it seems like those instruments go together. I mean, the organ and the bass clarinet with the background of the percussion. Tell us a little bit about that piece.
Well, that was a wonderful experience to write it because I was writing it actually for two bass clarinetists whom I know. One of them I've known since I came to Canada at age 11 or age 10.
Yeah.
We went to school together.
Oh, really?
Jeff Riley, who's based in Halifax. And so the two bass clarinetists both enjoy doing improvisation. And so I wrote for them various areas of the piece where they could improvise, for example, when they're entering and so on. We had the percussion up at the front of the church, and we had the organ is in the gallery at the back. And this was premiered at the church where I grew up, actually, in Waterloo, Ontario, which was a lovely experience.
According to the background here, you love to write for voice, and solo and choral music, and setting poetry to music. So that must be. What are some of the pieces that you've done in those genres?
Well, I've collaborated with a number of wonderful poets. I belong to the Heliconian Club in Toronto, which is a club for women in the arts. And there are a number of writers who are part of that, as well as dancers and visual artists and so on. And so I've collaborated with people like Anne Carson, who passed away recently. We've done pieces like Gravity Insists and Weave and Mend, which is a piece that I wrote in response to one of her writing passages. I'm currently actually working with Kate Marshall Flaherty, who's one of the poets at the Heliconian Club, and she has written a series of poems about trees.
Oh, right.
And so I'm going to be doing a song cycle based on her poems. So we're currently in the middle of that. And I've done, work with other people and also written my own texts for a number of pieces.
Now, I have a question that I've been wanting to ask a composer for a long time, and I never have, so you're the first to get this question. When one listens to a piece of music as a listener, and let's say it's a piece that evokes a great deal of emotion inside you as the listener, which is a lot of music that does that, hopefully. So the question is, when you're writing a piece that might be, let's say, tugs at your heart quite a bit, is it tugging at your heart too while you're writing it? What's the experience for writing it? Does that make any sense?
Yes, that is an excellent question. And I think the best experiences for a composer are times when one starts to work with an idea and works with it, and it does something that one didn't expect. And that can actually tug at my heart too. And that feels wonderful when that happens, because it's something that is kind of outside of myself. It came from something intangible that was outside of me. And that's what I'm hoping that my music can do for other people as well when they listen to it.
Right. Just two more things. I wanted to get back to the piece that was played on July 1st by the Laurieate String Quartet. Did you have an opportunity to work with them as they were preparing it?
Yes, we had some rehearsal time together, so I was able to give some input into how fast certain sections would go and balance and so on. Yes.
Did they make any suggestions? Because every now and then a performer will make a suggestion to a composer about the piece. There have been some famous examples of that.
And not particularly for that piece, although they certainly had input on the bowing, for example.
Oh, I see.
Because I'm not a string player myself, so I would always trust the string players to come up with their version of what they feel will best express what I wanted them to do.
And I'm sure you are happy with the performance. It sounds like it was a wonderful,
yeah.
wonderful experience.
Yeah.
So to close, Jana Skarecky, what's on the horizon for you? What are some of the big projects coming up for you?
Well, right now I've got the song cycle that I'm doing with Kate, the Heartwood, about the trees. I'm also writing 2 piano pieces currently. We have a photography show at the Heliconian Club every year, and it's going to be in October. And I have some of my photographs from Iceland in the photography show. So I'm writing a piano piece to go with one of those photographs. It's actually about a mountain range in Iceland called Hroin in Oxnadal, which I've also painted. So it's a kind of a combination of a variety of different media. And another piece that I'm doing, a piano piece that's in response to another photograph by Rosemary Tannock, which she's called it Ghost Gear, and it's colorful knots of rope on a beach. So I'm doing one of those. So I'm writing the 2 piano pieces, and there's a premiere coming up in the fall, also in Toronto, of my new song cycle called "Songs for a Cold Land."
Oh,
That's
wonderful!
for baritone
Wonderful.
and piano.
Well, you're a very busy young composer, and
Thank you for saying young.
we wish you the best. And we're talking with Jana Skarecky, who's talking to us from Canada. And we're very much looking forward to. I would urge anybody listening or watching to go to YouTube, because your music, you have your own channel, I think, on YouTube. And,
Yes.
Everybody's on YouTube, but you are too. And I've heard some of the music in just this hour, and it's very fascinating and wonderful. So we wish you the best with all your projects, and we thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jana.
We are back, bigger and stronger than ever, with our new season of auditions and performances.
Our channel is dedicated to bringing live performances and events to audiences around the globe.
Perform in Weill Recital Hall at Carnegie Hall. Opportunities for soloists and chamber musicians are available. Opportunities to perform a concerto with the New York Chamber Players and Orchestra Manhattan. Opportunities for composers to have their works premiered. New, an opportunity to have your string quartets recorded on an album produced by Cicciarone Music and Arts. Receive a press interview and be featured on our live internet TV series. Everybody who auditions receives a session with our tech experts to ensure you the maximum quality of presentation from your own equipment. Auditions will be hosted live online throughout the entire season. After your auditions, stay online to receive your personal performance evaluation and a chance to speak with our esteemed judges.
You intend to do all the right things, and you do them.
And I see you being very much aware that when your body moves, the sound flows.
It's like I never heard it before. I was like, okay. So thank you.
There's more. Whole Orchestra is back. Audition to be a featured artist in Florence, Lviv, Cairo, Philippines. Possibility to take part on a professional recording with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, and a chance to link up with Price Attractions, a professional artist management company. Applications are due October 1st. Visit our websites for more detail. boldorchestra.com, soundespressivocompetition.com, or progressivemusicians.com. So that's opportunities to be featured in New York City and all around the globe. Have your works premiered on a professionally released album, press interviews on the live internet TV, evaluations from musical experts, professional management opportunities, and so much more. Take that next step forward and reach toward your opportunity to receive world recognition as a musical artist.
We heard 7 artists tonight, and each one was fantastic.
It all starts by filling out that application on one of our websites. Apply by October 1st.